You know, door-to-door sales requires a very fast development of trust. I mean, even before the customer opens the door, they have to trust you a bit, or they're just not going to open it. Now, if they don't trust you, they're not going to open the door, and door-to-door sale is going to be impossible to do. So if you want to succeed in door-to-door sales, you really need to take a look at the impression you make before you even knock. Now, let's take a look at selling with your vehicle. Now, if possible, I would recommend you have your vehicle done up with exciting wrapped graphics like you see in the picture there. Now, the cost of wrapped graphics is not as much as you'd think, and it's offset by extra sales. It's a great investment. An exciting but tasteful vehicle builds interest and trust. It also gets people to call you when they see you driving down the street. Now, always park on the street and not in the driveway. The reason is, if a family member has to leave during your presentation, you don't have to end your sale by going to move your car. And also, keep your vehicle clean. It makes a big difference in door-to-door sales. And we also suggest you park on the street and walk to several houses rather than pulling into the driveway of each house and moving your car from house to house. The next point I want to make is everything counts. Now, many door-to-door salespeople don't think about it, but you're on display even before you get out of your car. Be sure you're ready to be seen when you pull into an area. I mean, after you get there is not the time to be combing your hair, tucking in your shirt, or doing all kinds of other tasks. So make sure you're ready when you pull into an area. The next point I want to make is make observations as you drive. Be observant. Who else have you sold in that area? Because sometimes dropping a neighbor's name can get you in the door. Also, what kind of neighborhood is it? What kind of people live there? What will interest them about your product or service? Maybe you need to alter it a little bit in that neighborhood. So take it all in, and you'll be ready to sell when you get to your first door. Now, the next point I want to make is, why are you there? I mean, the days of just showing up and saying you'd like to talk to them are over. So it's an important factor in door-to-door sales success to have a reason why you're there. And having a reason develops trust right away. I mean, people are much more likely to trust someone with a believable reason for knocking rather than a stranger that has no reason at all. So your reason for knocking could be that you're delivering something to someone on the block. It could be you rode out with a technician and you got a few minutes while you wait for him to finish an installation. It could be that you were driving by and you noticed something on their house that made you stop. But whatever reason you use, make sure you have a reason ready before you knock. Now, next I want to talk about picture ID and corporate clothing. We recommend that you wear picture ID, large picture ID, and corporate clothing, so the customer won't be worried about who you are or where you really came from. Now, this is less important if you have a wrapped vehicle with ID, but if you just get out of a regular car, they're going to want some assurance that you are who you say you are. Now let's talk about clothes. Now, you should choose clothes that generate trust and match your product. I mean, if you're selling golf clubs, you'd probably want to dress in golf clothes. But make sure your clothing sends a message of trust. People tend to trust well-dressed strangers more than those that are casually dressed. I don't know why, but it's just true. A briefcase usually adds trust. But be sure your clothes are clean and have a readable company logo on them as well. Well, now let's talk about knocking techniques. Yes, even how you knock makes a difference, okay? You don't want to sound too wimpy or too threatening. You can't sound like the police are there to deliver a search warrant. So choose a knocking style carefully and think about what impression it gives. And after you knock, this sounds funny, but you got to cover this. After you knock, don't look in the windows or touch their mail or their newspaper. You should look professional and patiently wait for an answer. Now, another thing I want to cover is, when you've knocked, step back from the door. That way you look less threatening. Nobody's going to open the door if they see a 6'2" guy standing right in front of the door that might be able to rush in or whatever. So stand back from the door. And in fact, many door-to-door salespeople turn their back on the door after they knock and step away from the door. And this makes the answering of the door seem safer to the customer, and they're more likely to actually answer the door. So I hope you'll try some of these techniques, and they'll develop trust before you even knock on the door. And it will make a big difference to your door-to-door success rate. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to find out more, we have great door-to-door sales training that's fully guaranteed for 60 days. It's got to help you or your money back. So take a look at www.door-to-door-sales.info, or you can give us a call at 716-580-3384. Thanks very much, and good luck developing trust and getting in the door.